Welcome to the summary of Don't Believe Everything You Think. Why Your Thinking is the Beginning and End of Suffering by Joseph Nguyen. Let's uncover the gems together. Key point 1. The two-arrow problem. Suffering is often a choice. Sounds immense, doesn't it? Who in good health of mind would decide to suffer? You may doubt, disapprove, or reject the idea, but it will still be valid. We often suffer because we choose to. Buddhists compare life's pits and hardships to arrows hitting them when they least expect it. Then one more flies their way at once, the emotional reaction, which is much more painful than the circumstances happening to them. Let's say you lose your job. If you see this event as a personal failure, it can lead you to depression and cause serious damage to your professional and personal lives. Or you can choose to accept the loss as a challenge rather than the end of the world. Wouldn't this way of thinking motivate you to seek new opportunities and find a better placement rather than wallowing in despair? So, it's your choice whether you avoid a second arrow. Forgive yourself for past mistakes and focus on moving forward. Dive into this summary to find answers to the ultimate human question: how to be happy. We'll help you master your mind and free your headspace for inspiration by living more and thinking less. Key point 2. Thinking dilemma, or what shatters your happiness. We all live in different realities, or rather perceptions of reality. Imagine sitting in a coffee shop. You leave your kids with your partner and can finally enjoy a cup of coffee and a book. Nobody pulls on your clothes because they want to play, have ice cream, or go to kindergarten with pants on their heads. You feel relieved and joyful. However, next to you is someone whose coffee is getting cold. They look distracted and frustrated and get shaken up every time the doorbell rings or someone stirs their coffee too loudly. It's the same place and surroundings for both of you. You hear the same noises and smell the same odors, but experience them differently because your mentality affects your perception. Reality is a fact with no labels, feelings, or thoughts. Yet no one can see life through colorless glasses. Everything, from your upbringing and DNA to childhood traumas and personal growth, imprints your worldview. Challenge the stories your mind tells you with facts. The brain's primary function is to protect you from the dangers of this world, always looking for threats through anxiety and fear. It keeps you alert by reinforcing memories of past hazards. Although your brain does a magnificent job keeping you alive, it hugely interferes with your happiness. It helps you survive, but often prevents you from thriving. You can say, "But thoughts are natural. I cannot control them." They are indeed natural, but you can control your thinking. Imagine being asked, "How much money do you want to make monthly?" You'll hear the answer if you sit quietly and let it come to you. According to Joseph Nguyen, thoughts are messages from the universe. They can make you light and inspired, as they have no restrictions or conditions. A crowded mind leaves no space for a peaceful heart. Christine Evangelou. However, if you start ruminating over how much money you want to make but realize no one in your family ever made that much, you'll rest on, "How could I?" But what about my financial crisis? The more you think about it, the heavier your mind gets. It raises anxiety and self-loathing, as it relies on your limiting beliefs, fears, lack of confidence, and criticism. Thinking tells you why you can't have something you want, thus impeding your path. Key point 3. Embrace your divinity. Recall a time when you were delighted. What were you thinking about at that moment? Or were you thinking at all? When you felt most loved, your brain wasn't involved. You were feeling and experiencing, not contemplating. Although joy, excitement, and bliss are all natural states, it often seems otherwise. Indeed, today's fast-paced world pushes us to hustle, overthink, and work tirelessly. However, if you look at a baby or a toddler, you'll see their carefree attitude toward everything. A small child doesn't cry for weeks because they lost their toy, get frustrated before tomorrow's playdate, or ruminate about where they will be next year. They live, experience, and feel. Thus, Joseph Nguyen argues that it's not negative thoughts that make you miserable, it's thinking overall. Even positive thinking often doesn't solve the problem because it's part of the same mental process. Imagine you are a speedometer, but you measure thoughts per minute instead of miles per hour. Intense thinking pushes the arrow closer to the red zone: stress, anxiety, burnout, and depression. Eventually, It can lead you to a level that is dangerous for your physical and mental health. Practice mindful breathing to reduce stress and increase relaxation. A lifestyle free of mental clutter is only possible if you acknowledge the three critical components that make every experience possible. Universal mind. Many call it God or Source. According to Nguyen, it's a power that connects us all into one. Ego makes us believe we are all separate, but that's an illusion. Just as an acorn knows how to grow into a tree, and our lungs know how to breathe when we are born, the universal mind is a living energy that naturally connects and breathes life into everything around us. Universal consciousness. It's a collective consciousness through which you understand that you are alive and become aware of your thoughts. Universal thought. It's an object of universal consciousness that helps you create from the energy of the universal mind. So, if a universal thought is a DVD, consciousness is a DVD player and TV, while mind is electricity. Without them, you won't experience the movie of life. Did you know? Along with cooking, meditation is one of humanity's oldest practices. People learned it by gathering around the fire and observing it silently. Key point 4. Where's your zone? An old Buddhist story tells of a samurai who wanted to know what hell and heaven were. He demanded the Zen master give him that knowledge. The master said he didn't have to tell him anything and admitted he could not stand the samurai. The latter was furious and raised his sword to kill the master when he heard a humble reply, "It's hell." Then the samurai realized that the inner state of pain, self-defense, and hatred was hell. He bowed his head and put his palms together in gratitude. "And this is heaven," said the master. Your mind can make you miserable or happy. You master it by letting your thoughts come and go without attaching to them. Eventually, you'll notice that you constantly switch modes from non-thinking to thinking. Don't get discouraged because perfection is unattainable. Just see how more involved and present you are in every moment. Cultivate a hobby you love to bring more joy into your life. Allowing your thoughts to come without thinking about them is a fundamental part of meditation. When you're always busy, your wandering mind is like a glass of muddy water. How can you make it clear? By letting it settle down. When all the dirt settles, the water becomes transparent. The always busy mind poisons your life, just as dirty water poisons your body. So, don't fight it. Instead, let it settle and see what happens. Of course, everything is easier said than done. The non-thinking lifestyle requires practice, but don't get discouraged. You've already done it many times. Recall the last time you worked on something you love, like painting, coding, exercising, or playing music. Being in the zone, or as the Japanese call it, mushin, is when everything else stops existing and your mind focuses on the present moment. It's free of anger, fear, or thoughts imposed by your ego. That's how athletes become top performers. Mushin is when you act instinctively and quickly without doubting your decision. You just act. Imagine how less stressful your life would be if you didn't think over every step, question your skills and experience, and beat yourself up for mistakes. Isn't the game worth trying? Key point 5. How can you live without thinking? No movie pictures the life of a constantly happy person. Instead, we want to see struggle, pain, worries, suffering, and perseverance. We want to see how good wins over evil. We are dependent on drama on a biological level. Don't believe it? Recall the last book you enjoyed. Didn't it involve a lot of drama? If not, you must have reached enlightenment. One who looks around him is intelligent. One who looks within him is wise. Machona Daliweo. Mundanity leads to more frustration and stress than suffering sometimes. If you stop stressing over minor things, what will you do with all your free time? Moreover, if you grow in some people or conditions stop satisfying you, you'd have to say farewell to them, and you may not want to do that. Leaving behind your friends or job sounds daunting. Any changes bring uncertainty, so you start thinking, doubting, and ruminating, thus suffering. Write a to-do list to organize your thoughts and reduce anxiety. When you learn to be in the zone or state of non-thinking, you'll notice how much headspace you have. It also will unlock certain superpowers. Here are some of them. You'll stop dividing events into bad and good. You will welcome everything because you know it's inherently neutral, and only your reaction gives it color. So most problems will disappear because you'll stop perceiving them as hardships. You'll learn the truth. You live by what you believe to be accurate, but it's often misleading and false. If your truth is a lie for another person, it's not the truth. Imagine you want to go to the beach, but it's raining. You're frustrated because it ruined your plans. Watching you, someone can believe that rain is terrible. If you observe a child jumping in puddles or a farmer praying in gratitude because the rain saved his crops from drought, you'll understand that your nightmare can be someone else's dream. You'll listen to your intuition. Your gut feeling is a silent voice that can lead you to your inner desires and dreams. Unfortunately, many can't hear it because their minds are cluttered, or they ignore it because of their fears. Nonetheless, listening to your intuition always pays off in the long run. Key point 6. Toolkit for Happiness. Imagine having no worries or fears about tomorrow's flight, changing careers, or meeting new people. These tips will help you live in the moment and stay in the flow. Avoid triggers that force you into fight or flight mode. Any environment that makes you feel threatened or depressed pushes your mind to wander off and makes you anxious. So if a horror movie makes you tremble at night or your friend constantly complains about their life and how everything is terrible, change your tastes in film and friends. Eliminate things you hate. Do you find your work life-wrenching? Leave it. Don't like running? Do yoga. Life has plenty of alternatives. Start your day with a morning activation ritual that puts you in a non-thinking state. Some people love to write in a journal and express gratitude when they wake up, while others prefer to meditate and observe nature. Invest in learning non-thinking daily. Any practices that keep your mind focused on the present and help you create headspace are valid. Know the origin of your dreams and goals. Most targets you set come from desperation. For example, you want to learn trading because someone told you it's a gold mine. Such goals feel urgent and limited. You persuade yourself to act because someone else will take your place or because you need the outcome of the opportunity. On the other hand, when your dream comes from inspiration or as the universal thought, it simply belongs to you. You feel happy and peaceful when you imagine it. When the dream is authentic, it doesn't have an end goal. You want to write a book because you love writing or adopt a child to become their parent. No material benefit rules your decision. A calm morning makes for a peaceful day. However, don't think life will give it to you on a platter. Your brain will start sabotaging you. It will say, "It's impossible. How can you live on a teacher's salary?" Or, "What in the world do you know about France? How can you work there if you don't even know the language?" Many lose to this fight and abandon their dreams because their thinking wins. And yet, those who learn the non-thinking way will put their doubts and fears aside and do what their intuition tells them because it makes them feel fulfilled and happy. Conclusion. Life is a constant search for happiness. Some look for it in wealth or fame, while others move, switch relationships, or change careers. Indeed, external factors affect your well-being. Nonetheless, suffering always comes from within. You may like your job, but even the best placement will become uncomfortable if you're prone to complaining. Just as love depends on daily actions, your happiness depends on your presence in every moment. When you live instead of thinking, nothing can shatter your peace. Try this. If you face a challenge or don't know what course to take, 1. Find a silent and safe place. 2. Close your eyes and focus on your sensations. Hear the birds singing or feel the wind on your skin. 3. Breathe deeply. 4. Concentrate on the present moment without reflecting on it in your mind. Be there, and the answers will come to you. That's all for now. More intriguing summaries are just a click away.